The hum of the advanced battery prototypes in Dr. Alana Hayes's home lab was a soothing symphony to her ears. Each flicker of the diagnostic lights, each subtle whir of the cooling systems, represented years of meticulous research, countless late nights, fueled by lukewarm coffee, and an unwavering belief in the power of innovation. Alana, a brilliant and unassuming scientist in her early 40s, was the founder and CEO of Nova Innovations, a groundbreaking tech company specializing in sustainable energy solutions. Her life was defined by intellectual curiosity, ethical pursuit, and a quiet determination that belied her immense influence. She preferred the solitude of her lab, the quiet satisfaction of a breakthrough, to the glittering stages of corporate acclaim. Alana was intensely private, a deliberate choice forged early in her career, when she realized the public spotlight often obscured the actual work. She rarely sought attention, believing her creations should speak for themselves. This philosophy extended even to her own company. While Nova Innovations was a global leader, its operations were often shrouded in a strategic discretion, particularly its recent acquisition of a struggling luxury hotel chain, the Grandeur Collection. This diversification, a bold move, was driven by Alana's vision to infuse hospitality with cutting-edge sustainable technology and modern efficiency. She had intentionally kept her ownership and direct involvement in the hotel chain a secret from the general public, and crucially from the existing hotel staff. Her aim was simple: to conduct an unbiased, anonymous assessment of their operations and customer service, to see the reality unvarnished by corporate fanfare. Her days weren't filled with the typical executive whirlwind of back-to-back meetings in a lavish office. Instead, one might find Alana in her minimalist home lab, surrounded by sleek equipment, meticulously calibrating a new energy cell. She would spend hours sketching complex schematics for a revolutionary energy storage unit, her brow furrowed in concentration, a single pencil blurring between her fingers. In the evenings, she might slip into a humble community workshop, volunteering at a local STEM program for underserved youth. Here, amidst the whir of 3D printers and the excited chatter of children, Alana's quiet patience and encouraging words were a beacon. She'd spend an hour helping a shy girl understand the principles of circuit design, or patiently guiding a restless boy through the logic of coding, her genuine desire for scientific progress shining through. She wasn't just teaching. She was igniting sparks, fostering the very curiosity that defined her own life. On this particular Tuesday, Alana was preparing for a crucial business trip, a flight that would take her across continents to finalize a major international deal for Nova Innovations. The deal, if successful, would revolutionize renewable energy grids on a global scale. As she packed her single practical carry-on, her phone buzzed. It was a distressed call from Marcus, a bright, aspiring engineer she had been mentoring for months, one of the students from the community program. "Dr. Hayes, I'm so sorry to bother you." Marcus's voice crackled, laced with panic. "My presentation for the regional tech fair is tomorrow, and I just hit a wall with the thermal management system. I can't get the simulations to run right, and I'm totally stuck." Alana glanced at her watch. Her car to the private airfield was due in 45 minutes. Her schedule was packed tighter than a microchip. Yet without a moment's hesitation, she replied, "It's all right, Marcus. Take a deep breath. Email me your files right now. We'll walk through it." For the next hour, even as her driver waited patiently outside, Alana sat hunched over her laptop, patiently guiding Marcus through the complex technical problem. She explained the nuances of fluid dynamics, debugged his code line by line, and most importantly, infused him with confidence. "You've got this, Marcus," she said, her voice warm and steady. "You've done the hard work. Trust your calculations, and trust yourself." When they hung up, Marcus's voice was filled with renewed determination. This small act, a testament to her profound empathy and unwavering commitment to others' success, was Alana's quiet way of saving the cat. As she finally headed out the door, she clipped a sleek, minimalist Nova Innovations Executive Access card to her belt loop. It was a multifunctional card designed for ultimate discretion, granting her access to all Nova Innovations properties and subsidiaries, including the Grandeur Collection hotels. The card bore only the subtle, almost unnoticeable Nova Innovations logo and an encrypted digital code. No name, no title. It was a tool for observation, a key to unlock the true operational efficiency of her empire, not a badge for ostentation. Just as her private jet ascended into the clear morning sky, an unexpected technical issue arose. A minor system malfunction, that, while not critical, necessitated an unscheduled layover in a sprawling metropolitan city. Coincidentally, this city happened to host one of her newly acquired hotels, the Grandeur Elite. It was a high-end property, known for its opulent lobby and renowned five-star service. Alana saw this unforeseen delay not as an inconvenience, but as an opportunity. She decided to spend the layover conducting an incognito assessment of the hotel's operations, particularly its efficiency and guest experience, before the upcoming strategic review. She deliberately dressed down, comfortable practical travel clothes, minimal makeup, her hair pulled back simply, to blend in to observe without drawing any unwanted attention. She wanted to experience the hotel as an ordinary guest, to gain unfiltered insights into its true workings. She arrived at the Grandeur Elite in a standard taxi, blending seamlessly with the arriving and departing guests. The lobby was indeed opulent, a symphony of polished marble, glittering chandeliers, and plush velvet seating. But as she approached the front desk, Alana, with her scientist's keen eye for detail, noticed something subtly amiss. There was a distinct, almost imperceptible air of subtle judgment from the staff towards guests who didn't fit a certain profile. A brief glance, a slight hesitation, a barely noticeable shift in their smiles. The front desk manager, a man named Mr. Victor Sterling, was on duty. Sterling, with his impeccably coiffed hair and tailored suit, radiated an aura of fastidious control. He was a man obsessed with appearances and perceived status, his worldview rigidly defined by superficial metrics. He was deeply prejudiced, equating wealth and importance solely with a specific aesthetic and racial profile. He saw Alana, a black woman in sensible travel clothes without the expected designer luggage or ostentatious jewelry, and immediately assumed she was not a legitimate high-paying guest. Perhaps a convention attendee on a lower tier, or even an uninvited visitor trying to sneak in. He prided himself on his instincts, which in truth were fueled by his ingrained biases. He decided without hesitation to weed out what he perceived as undesirable clientele. Alana approached the gleaming counter. "Good afternoon," she said, her voice polite and clear. "I'd like to inquire about a standard room for the night, please." Sterling looked up, his eyes sweeping over her with a dismissive glance. His perfectly sculpted smile remained, but his eyes were cold, calculating. "Do you have a reservation, ma'am?" he asked, his tone laced with a thinly veiled condescension. "And perhaps a valid form of payment. Our rooms here at the Grandeur Elite are quite exclusive." He paused, letting the implication hang in the air, a silent challenge. Alana felt a familiar prickle of irritation. She had encountered this subtle, insidious prejudice before, but today it felt different. It was happening in a place she now owned. She decided to proceed as a regular customer. "No, I prefer to book on site," she replied, her voice unwavering. She reached for her personal credit card, a discreet platinum card from a reputable bank, and slid it across the counter. Sterling snatched the card, scrutinizing it, then her, with an exaggerated show of suspicion. He made a show of examining the card, then her, before shaking his head with an air of theatrical regret. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but it seems we have no available rooms at your price point." His voice, though still outwardly polite, was loud enough to carry through the opulent lobby, ensuring other guests heard his dismissal. "Perhaps you could try a more budget-friendly establishment. The Motel 1 down the street might be more suitable for your needs." His words, delivered with a smug, triumphant smirk, were a public denial of service based purely on his prejudice and her appearance. It was a direct, humiliating assault on Alana's dignity and her professional standing, even though her true identity was still carefully concealed. But within Alana, a quiet, burning resolve ignited. She would not be dismissed. Not in her own hotel. The opulent lobby of the Grandeur Elite, a space designed for hushed luxury, now vibrated with an unspoken tension, a direct result of Mr. Victor Sterling's loud, dismissive pronouncements. His voice, coated in condescension, hung in the air, a stark contrast to the serene elegance of the surroundings. Dr. Alana Hayes, accustomed to command and quiet respect, felt the sting of his prejudice, a cold, familiar burn. Yet her initial surge of irritation quickly gave way to a detached, almost scientific observation. This wasn't just about her. It was about a systemic flaw in her newly acquired asset, a flaw she now had the opportunity to address firsthand. Sir, I assure you my payment is valid and I am simply requesting a standard room. Alana stated, her voice calm and even betraying none of the quiet fury simmering beneath her composed exterior. Her scientific mind, always seeking precision, couldn't tolerate Sterling's vague, dismissive assertions. If you could please recheck your system, I believe you'll find there's availability. She maintained eye contact, a subtle challenge in her gaze. Sterling, however, wasn't interested in rechecking anything. His face, usually a mask of polished professionalism, was now flushed with a self-important indignation. He saw Alana's composure not as dignity, but as a stubborn refusal to accept his authority. "Ma'am, I've already told you we are fully booked," he declared, his voice rising, designed to assert his absolute control and dismiss her. He leaned slightly over the counter, his tone dripping with disdain. "Perhaps you didn't quite understand. This is a 5-star establishment. Our clientele expects a certain standard, and frankly, your persistence is becoming disruptive." He gestured vaguely towards the plush seating areas, implying she should simply leave. Convinced Alana was attempting to sneak in or deliberately cause a scene, Sterling decided to escalate. He reached for his phone with a flourish, making sure his actions were visible to the now growing crowd of curious and increasingly uncomfortable guests. "I'm calling hotel security," he announced loudly, his voice echoing in the grand lobby. "We don't tolerate loitering or disruptive guests in our lobby. You will be escorted from the premises." He believed this public display of authority would intimidate Alana into immediate submission or retreat, thereby validating his instincts. His every movement, every word was designed to emphasize her persistence and her inability to comprehend her supposed place, broadcasting his thinly veiled prejudice. Alana's jaw tightened imperceptibly. Security. This was becoming a public spectacle. The thought of being physically removed from her own hotel, a place she now owned, was almost surreal. Yet she remained rooted to the spot, her quiet strength a stark contrast to Sterling's escalating bluster. Her resolve solidified. This man and the culture he represented would not dictate her experience, or more importantly, the experience of any future guest in her hotels. Just then, a figure clad in the discreet uniform of hotel security approached the front desk. This was Mr. Robert Evans, an older, experienced security guard. Evans was a veteran employee, a quiet, observant man with a deep knowledge of the hotel's inner workings, and more importantly, its true ownership. Unlike Sterling, Evans possessed an innate integrity and a sharp sense of justice. He had been watching Sterling's rude and increasingly aggressive behavior, a knot of concern tightening in his gut. He had seen similar patterns from Sterling before, though none quite so blatant. He knew that Nova Innovations had recently acquired the Grandeur Collection, and he understood the implications of a new, powerful owner taking a discreet look at their operations. "Mr. Sterling." Evans began, his voice calm and even attempting to de-escalate without directly challenging his manager. "Perhaps we should check the system more thoroughly. We don't want any misunderstandings with our guests." He subtly tried to intervene, his eyes subtly flicking to Alana, a silent message of reassurance. But Sterling, blinded by his arrogance and convinced of his absolute power, dismissed Evans with a contemptuous wave of his hand. He saw Evans as too old, soft, and unwilling to enforce the standards Sterling so vehemently protected. "Just handle the security, Evans. I'll manage the guests." Sterling snapped, his voice tight with impatience. "There's nothing to check. This woman is being disruptive, and I've already called the local police. Get ready to escort her out." He then turned back to his own phone, demonstratively dialing the local precinct. Alana observed this exchange, her mind processing the layers of bias and incompetence. Sterling was not only prejudiced, but also utterly inefficient. She knew she had to intervene decisively, but not before Sterling had fully incriminated himself. She decided it was time to play her hand subtly, ensuring only the right people understood its significance. With deliberate calm, Alana reached into her travel bag. She pulled out her sleek, minimalist Nova Innovations Executive Access card. She didn't state her title, didn't make a grand gesture. Instead, she quietly slid the card across the polished counter, pushing it gently towards Mr. Evans, making sure Sterling saw the movement, but couldn't immediately grasp its full, devastating significance. "Mr. Evans." She said, her voice low and steady, a profound calm radiating from her. Perhaps this will clarify my intention to stay here. The card with its subtle, almost imperceptible Nova Innovations logo and its encrypted digital code was an anomaly. It was a rarity, a symbol of ultimate unstated authority. Mr. Evans, a seasoned professional, saw the logo. He recognized it instantly. His eyes widened imperceptibly. He knew. Nova Innovations had acquired the Grandeur Collection. This was no ordinary guest. This was the owner. Without a word, Mr. Evans quickly and discreetly retrieved a small hidden terminal from beneath the counter. He scanned the card. The terminal immediately flashed a single unmistakable message in bright red letters. Authorization level CEO. Immediate compliance required. Evans's face paled as he saw the readout. His mind raced. This wasn't just a disruptive guest. This was a catastrophic failure, a direct affront to the highest authority within their entire corporate structure. He quickly, silently made a discreet call on Alana's behalf, bypassing Sterling to the hotel's corporate emergency line. His voice hushed but urgent. Code red executive issue. Urgent attention required. CEO on site front desk incident. As the phone rang on Mr. Evans's end, Sterling, oblivious to the quiet seismic shift that had just occurred, continued to berate Alana. And don't think you can play games with me, ma'am. I've seen your type before. Just because you have a fancy piece of plastic doesn't mean you can dictate terms in a 5-star establishment. He puffed out his chest, utterly convinced of his triumph. Suddenly, a powerful, commanding voice answered Evans's call, amplified faintly by his discreet phone speaker. It was a voice that, while unfamiliar to Alana, held the weight of ultimate corporate authority within the hospitality division. This is Mr. David Chen, head of global hotel operations for the Grandeur Collection. The voice stated, his tone sharp with alarm. What is the nature of this code red, Mr. Evans? Sterling, still gloating in his victory, was completely unaware. The trap was sprung. The true power had arrived, and it was about to dismantle his entire world. The opulent hush of the Grandeur Elite's lobby was shattered by Mr. Victor Sterling's escalating tirade. Oblivious to the urgent call Mr. Robert Evans had just made, Sterling paced the pristine marble floor, his voice growing louder with each step. He had just finished a dramatic, embellished phone call with the local police department, informing them of a disruptive individual attempting to gain unauthorized access. He now basked in the attention of the curious and increasingly uncomfortable guests. His eyes, fixed on Dr. Alana Hayes, gleamed with a self-satisfied malice. He was convinced she was caught exposed and about to be removed. His prejudice, a thick, impenetrable shield, prevented him from seeing anything beyond his predetermined, biased narrative. And don't think you can play games with me, ma'am, Sterling snarled, stopping abruptly in front of Alana, his chest puffed out. I've seen your type before. Just because you have a fancy piece of plastic, he gestured dismissively towards where Alana's Nova Innovations card had been, doesn't mean you can dictate terms in a 5-star establishment. This is the Grandeur Elite, not some roadside inn where just anyone can waltz in. His words, while not explicitly racist, dripped with the venom of his ingrained biases, implying her race and casual attire made her inherently unworthy of being in such a prestigious establishment. He even jabbed at Evans, who stood quietly by. And you, Evans, why are you just standing there? Get ready to escort her out once the police arrive. Alana remained a statue of calm, her expression unreadable. The public accusations stung, but beneath her composed exterior, a cold, calculated fury simmered. She watched Sterling's performance, allowing him to fully incriminate himself, meticulously noting every condescending remark, every discriminatory insinuation. She knew this was not just a personal slight, but a blatant display of systemic prejudice that tainted the very essence of her newly acquired hotel chain. Meanwhile, on the other end of Mr. Evans's discreetly placed phone, Mr. David Chen, head of global hotel operations for the Grandeur Collection, listened intently. He had received the code red executive issue alert, a rare and alarming signal. Hearing Evans's hushed report of CEO on-site front desk incident, a cold dread had settled in his stomach. He knew Alana Hayes preferred to remain anonymous in her initial assessments. The thought that she, the owner, was being publicly humiliated by her own staff was a nightmare scenario. He heard Sterling's escalating tirade, his veiled racist remarks, his blatant disrespect for what he assumed was a lower-class individual. Chen's initial panic morphed into a controlled fury. He closed his eyes for a moment, picturing the scene, a precise strategic mind already at work. He quickly instructed Evans to put his phone on speaker discreetly and to ensure Sterling continued to speak. Chen wanted every word of Sterling's arrogance and prejudice to be recorded to be undeniable. This strategic delay, while excruciating for Alana, was designed to expose Sterling's true character and ensure his complete undeniable downfall. The faint sound of local police sirens grew louder in the distance, cutting through the hotel's elegant background music. Their flashing blue and red lights could already be seen reflecting off the grand entrance, growing brighter with each passing second. The hotel's internal announcements, usually playing soft jazz, suddenly crackled to life, an automated voice proclaiming, "Attention Grandeur Elite guests. We apologize for the unforeseen guest issue in the lobby. We appreciate your patience as we resolve this matter." This only served to heighten the tension, a low hum of chatter and nervous glances rippling through the remaining guests, many of whom were checking their watches, muttering about missed appointments or travel delays. Eleanor knew she had limited time to intervene before Alana was publicly humiliated by an unnecessary police interaction, creating an unmitigated PR disaster for Nova Innovations and deeply traumatizing her own CEO. She was setting the stage for a meticulous, devastating counterattack, ensuring maximum public impact and irreversible consequences for Sterling. "You think you're above the rules, don't you?" Sterling continued, now sneering directly at Alana, unaware that every word he uttered was being monitored. "Just because you walk in here like you own the place. Well, you don't, and you're about to find out exactly where you stand." His voice dripped with condescension, the bitter taste of his prejudice palpable. Alana met his gaze, her expression unyielding. She saw not a manager, but a system of bias manifesting in a single ignorant man. The police sirens were now very close, a rising crescendo. Her isolation in that opulent lobby was profound, yet she held her ground, a quiet defiance burning in her eyes. David Chen, listening from afar, knew the exact moment to strike. The clock had run out for Sterling. The full force of Nova Innovations was about to be unleashed. The distinct wail of police sirens, no longer distant, sliced through the refined air of the Grandeur Elite lobby. Their flashing blue and red lights painted frantic pulsing streaks across the grand entrance, visible through the hotel's polished glass doors. Mr. Victor Sterling, puffed up with self-importance, beamed at the approaching chaos he had orchestrated, utterly convinced of his impending vindication. He adjusted his impeccably tailored suit jacket, mentally composing the commendation he expected for his heroic act of thwarting an unruly guest. His eyes, devoid of empathy, gleamed with a mix of ingrained prejudice and professional ambition. He saw only a problem to be solved, a box to be checked, and a promotion to be earned through his perceived diligence. The opulent hotel lobby, typically a discreet space for exclusive arrivals and departures, had been dramatically transformed into a crucible of public judgment. Guests who had been enjoying afternoon tea or waiting for their limousines now stood in small whispering groups, their murmurs growing louder. A palpable mix of curiosity, discomfort, and subtle judgment permeated the air. Some whispered about the poor woman, their expressions softening with sympathy, while others, particularly those who shared Sterling's implicit biases, nodded in agreement with his accusations, their faces hardened by their own preconceived notions. The air was thick with the suffocating weight of unspoken expectations and the palpable tension of a brewing storm. Dr. Alana Hayes, standing alone at the reception desk, felt the full force of this public scrutiny. Her small frame seemed to shrink under the collective gaze, yet her posture remained stubbornly straight, a testament to the quiet dignity that had always been her anchor. Mr. David Chen, head of Global Hotel Operations, listening intently through Mr. Robert Evans's discreetly placed phone, felt a cold, calculated fury solidify within him. He heard the rising murmurs of the crowd, the approaching sirens, the chilling confidence in Sterling's voice. This wasn't just about a room reservation anymore. It was about the blatant systemic prejudice that allowed a manager in his hotel chain to publicly humiliate a guest unknowingly, their very owner, based solely on his bias. This was an unmitigated disaster, a direct assault on everything the Grandeur Collection, and by extension Nova Innovations, stood for. He pictured Alana standing isolated yet resilient. A wave of fierce professional pride mixed with a protective fury for the company's reputation washed over him. He allowed the silence to stretch for a beat, letting the tension coil tighter, letting the approaching sirens add to the inexorable pressure. He needed everyone present, the guests, the staff, and most importantly Sterling, to fully absorb the implications of what was happening. He needed them to witness the injustice in its rawest form before he unleashed the full devastating force of his, and by extension, Alana's authority. Suddenly, Sterling's voice cut through the nervous hum, sharp and triumphant. "Ah, here they are. Finally. You see, ma'am, you see what happens when you try to circumvent our policies. Justice is swift." He straightened up, puffing out his chest, ready to greet the local police officers who were now entering the hotel. Their uniforms crisp, their faces stoic and professionally detached. He strode forward, extending a hand to the lead officer, already rehearsing his embellished account. David Chen knew this was the exact moment. The ticking clock had run out for Sterling. He wouldn't allow Alana to be further traumatized, nor would he allow the hotel's and Nova Innovations' values to be trampled. His decision was made with the swift, unyielding precision of a seasoned executive. This would not be a mere correction. It would be a complete public dismantling of prejudice, a lesson delivered with surgical accuracy and undeniable power. His voice, usually reserved for urgent conference calls and executive briefings, suddenly boomed through the grandeur elite's sophisticated public address system. It wasn't a gentle sound. It was a commanding, resonant declaration, filling every corner of the vast lobby, cutting through the general hubbub and the last vestiges of Sterling's smug pronouncements. The sound was startling, arresting. Every head in the lobby snapped towards the ceiling speakers, including Sterling's, who was mid-handshake with the lead police officer. "Attention, all grandeur elite, personnel and patrons." Mr. David Chen's voice announced, calm and clear, yet imbued with an unmistakable authority that silenced every conversation, every whisper. His tone carried the weight of absolute corporate power, a force that demanded immediate, unquestioning obedience. "This is David Chen, head of Global Hotel Operations for the Grandeur Collection. I am currently monitoring an incident unfolding at the front desk, involving a guest and your front desk manager, Mr. Victor Sterling. The impact was immediate and visceral." Sterling, who had been preening for the arriving officers, literally froze mid-handshake, his jaw going slack. His triumphant smirk evaporated, replaced by a mask of utter disbelief. The color drained from his face, leaving it a sickly, ashen pale. He looked up at the ceiling speakers as if Chen himself had manifested there, a spectral harbinger of his impending doom. The lead police officer quickly retracted his hand, his professional demeanor giving way to a look of confused alarm as he recognized the voice and the unexpected corporate intervention. Chen's voice, now colder, sharper, continued to pierce the stunned silence. "Mr. Sterling, I have been listening to your live feed, and your conduct this afternoon is not only utterly appalling, it is a gross violation of every principle the Grandeur Collection, and by extension Nova Innovation, stands for. Your baseless accusations, your discriminatory remarks, and your egregious mishandling of a legitimate guest, particularly your attempts to deny service based on appearance, are unacceptable and frankly indefensible." Sterling tried to speak, to stammer a denial, but no sound escaped his throat. He looked around wildly, as if searching for an escape, a way to vanish from the public spotlight that had just turned on him with devastating intensity. His arrogance, built on the shifting sands of his own prejudice, crumbled under the sheer weight of Chen's authority. The arena had shifted. He was no longer the accuser. He was the accused, trapped, exposed, and utterly powerless. The ticking clock had not only run out for Alana, but for Sterling himself. His downfall was now inevitable, and it would be witnessed by all. The Grandeur Elite lobby, previously a stage for Mr. Victor Sterling's arrogant display, was now hushed into an almost reverent silence. Mr. David Chen's voice, amplified and chillingly calm, continued to reverberate through the hotel's public address system. The sudden public revelation of his identity and the implicit power that came with it had shattered Sterling's world in an instant. His previous arrogance had dissolved into abject horror, replaced by the gut-wrenching realization that he had just publicly humiliated the CEO of the entire hotel chain he managed. Chen's voice, though disembodied, seemed to fill every inch of the hotel, his authority undeniable. "Mr. Sterling," he continued, each word a hammer blow of condemnation, "your blatant display of prejudice, your false accusations, and your egregious mishandling of a legitimate guest particularly your attempts to deny service based on appearance, are unacceptable and frankly indefensible. The casual guest you have been publicly harassing is Dr. Alana Hayes, the CEO of Nova Innovations, and as of 3 months ago, the sole owner of the Grandeur Collection hotel chain. A collective audible gasp swept through the lobby. Guests who had been murmuring or watching with a mix of discomfort and judgment now exchanged wide-eyed, terrified glances. Whispers of, "The owner's here," and "the CEO," rippled through the crowd, their expressions shifting from curiosity to utter astonishment, then to dawning shame as they realized they had been silent witnesses to such an egregious act of discrimination. The police officers who had entered the hotel lobby moments earlier now stood rigidly, their faces mirroring the widespread shock, their initial purpose completely derailed by the unforeseen corporate earthquake. They knew the immense, almost untouchable power of Dr. Alana Hayes, CEO of Nova Innovations, a company whose acquisition of the Grandeur Collection had recently made headlines in the business world. Sterling, in a desperate, pathetic attempt to salvage his rapidly crumbling world, stammered, "No, this is a trick, a lie. She's lying. This woman is lying. This is a setup." He gestured wildly at Alana, his voice cracking with a desperate, frantic energy, refusing to accept the catastrophic reality that was unfolding around him. He took a stumbling step forward, as if to physically challenge the disembodied voice, his mind unable to reconcile his ingrained biases with the irrefutable truth now echoing through the entire hotel. Breathless moment. Just as Sterling's desperate denial hung in the air, echoing his unraveling sanity, David Chen's voice cut him off sharp and final, leaving no room for doubt or rebuttal. "Mr. Sterling," Chen's voice boomed, now imbued with an unyielding steel, "consider your employment with the Grandeur Collection and all Nova Innovations subsidiaries terminated immediately, effective immediately." The words were delivered with the clinical precision of a surgeon making an incision. "Your actions today are a direct violation of our core values of respect, integrity, and inclusivity. We will be conducting a full internal investigation into your discriminatory practices, and I assure you any further attempts at harassment or defamation will be met with the full force of Nova Innovations' legal department. You will be hearing from our legal team shortly regarding the full implications of your misconduct." He then turned his attention to the bewildered police officers, his voice softening slightly, but retaining its unwavering authority. "Officers, this is David Chen. There has been a misunderstanding. The matter has been handled. Mr. Sterling, formerly the front desk manager, has been terminated for gross misconduct and harassment. There are no charges necessary for our CEO. Please ensure Mr. Sterling is escorted from the premises without further incident. He will not be returning to the Grandeur Elite." The unraveling Sterling collapsed against the reception desk, a pathetic, defeated figure. His face was a mask of sheer horror, his eyes wide and unseeing, staring into the abyss of his ruined career and reputation. The arrogant sneer, the triumphant posture, the meticulous control, all had vanished, replaced by the image of a broken, humiliated man. He tried to speak again, a choked, guttural sound, but no words formed. He was utterly speechless, consumed by the magnitude of his downfall. Mr. Robert Evans, the security guard who had stood witness to Sterling's entire performance, now stepped forward, a look of profound relief and vindication on his face. He looked at Alana, offering her a subtle, affirming nod, a silent acknowledgement of her quiet strength and the justice that had just been served. He then moved towards Sterling, his expression grim but determined. "Mr. Sterling, you heard Mr. Chen. Let's go." The police officers, now fully briefed and understanding the corporate power at play, calmly approached Sterling and without resistance escorted him away, his pathetic figure disappearing around the corner of the lobby. Witness reactions. The other guests, who had been judgmental or merely curious now, looked at Alana with a mixture of awe and profound respect. Several people discreetly gave her sympathetic smiles or small affirming nods, some even offering hushed apologies for their earlier assumptions. The atmosphere in the hotel, which had been thick with tension, now hummed with a quiet, collective sigh of relief, quickly followed by murmurs of shock and admiration for David Chen's decisive intervention, and by extension, the unseen power of Dr. Alana Hayes. Alana, though still processing the whirlwind of emotions, felt a powerful surge of validation. Her quiet dignity had been acknowledged, her innocence vindicated, and the injustice she endured had been met with swift, undeniable justice. The grand opulent lobby, once an arena of her humiliation, had transformed into a stage for her triumph, a quiet CEO's vindication witnessed by all. The opulent hush returned to the grandeur elite lobby, but it was a different kind of quiet now. The palpable tension had dissipated, replaced by a lingering aura of awe and a profound sense of justice delivered. Mr. Victor Sterling, his face still a mask of horror and disbelief, was summarily escorted from the premises by the police, his pathetic figure shrinking with each step away from the scene of his public disgrace. His arrogance, once his defining characteristic, had utterly evaporated, leaving behind only the bitter taste of ruin. Nova Innovations wasted no time. Following David Chen's directive, a full internal investigation was immediately launched into Sterling's conduct. Within days, the audit uncovered a disturbing pattern, a litany of suppressed customer complaints, particularly from guests of color, detailing similar instances of subtle discrimination, unwarranted scrutiny, and outright denial of service based on appearance. It became clear that Sterling had meticulously cultivated a culture of prejudice at the front desk, subtly intimidating staff members who might challenge him and meticulously crafting a profile of who was worthy of Grandeur Elite's 5-star service. The evidence was damning. Nova Innovations' legal department wasted no time initiating a civil suit against Sterling for defamation and systemic bias, ensuring he faced not just professional ruin, but also significant legal consequences. His reputation in the hospitality industry was irrevocably destroyed. Blacklisted from every reputable establishment, he quickly found himself unemployable and ostracized, left with nothing but the bitter ashes of his own prejudice and the weight of his colossal misjudgment. While Sterling's downfall was swift and absolute, the reaction of others involved took a different turn. Ms. Evelyn Reed, the general manager of the Grandeur Elite, was next on David Chen's and then directly Alana Hayes' call list. Evelyn was a long-standing, seemingly competent manager, known for her meticulous attention to operational details. However, her competency had been marred by a critical blind spot, a complacent reliance on Sterling to manage the front desk operations, effectively turning a blind eye to his subtle, yet deeply damaging discriminatory practices. She had been too focused on the hotel's bottom line and guest satisfaction scores to truly scrutinize the how behind those numbers, allowing Sterling's prejudices to fester unchecked. When David Chen recounted Sterling's behavior, Evelyn's initial reaction was a mixture of shock and disbelief. But, Victor, he's always been so efficient. She stammered, genuinely taken aback. But as Chen and then Alana herself systematically laid out the evidence, the suppressed complaints, the clear pattern of bias, the public humiliation of the CEO in her own hotel, Evelyn's defensiveness crumbled. A wave of genuine remorse washed over her. She realized the depth of the humiliation Alana had endured and the systemic issues within her own organization that had allowed it to happen. She had trusted Sterling, but more profoundly, she had failed to truly lead, to instill the values of true inclusivity that Nova Innovations championed. Dr. Hayes. Evelyn set her voice thick with uncharacteristic humility. I am profoundly sorry for what you experienced today and for the environment that allowed such a vile display of prejudice to occur under my management. I assure you this is utterly unacceptable, a gross dereliction of my duty to our guests and to the Grandeur Collection's true values. I see now that this was not just an isolated incident, but a symptom of systemic complacency and a failure to actively ensure an equitable environment. I vow to rectify this, immediately and comprehensively. She was a Ngoy Hieu Lam person who misunderstood in the purest sense, not malicious, but arrogant and complacent, blinded by the perceived invulnerability of her position. Evelyn kept her word. Within days, the Grandeur Elite, under her direct and immediate supervision, issued a heartfelt public apology to Dr. Alana Hayes, making headlines for its rare honesty and humility. Internally, Evelyn implemented a sweeping mandatory anti-discrimination training program for all hotel staff, from ground crew to front desk attendants to executive leadership. She personally oversaw the establishment of a new guest dignity and inclusivity protocol, ensuring that every complaint of discrimination was investigated with the utmost urgency and transparency. She actively sought out diverse talent, fostering an environment where merit and respect truly reigned. As a gesture of personal atonement and a commitment to genuine change, she reached out to Nova Innovation's community outreach programs, offering the hotel's facilities for free STEM and hospitality workshops for underserved youth. An offer Alana, recognizing genuine remorse, graciously accepted. Ms. Evelyn Reed, once complacent, became a vocal advocate for diversity and inclusion within the hospitality industry, actively partnering with Nova Innovations on new initiatives, a testament to the powerful transformative impact of Alana Hayes' quiet resolve and her profound commitment to ethical change. She kept her job, but on strict probation, forced to rebuild trust and redefine her leadership. Back in the now peaceful private suite, generously offered by the apologetic hotel staff, Alana sat across from Mr. Robert Evans, the security guard. The opulent room felt different, lighter, almost cleansed of the earlier tension. Evans still looked a little awestruck by the swift and absolute nature of the CEO's intervention, but his eyes held a deep, unwavering respect. "Mr. Evans," Alana began, her voice soft but firm, "I want to personally thank you. Your quick thinking, your integrity, and your willingness to act in a difficult situation made all the difference today. You upheld the true values of this hotel even when your manager did not." Evans, humbled, shifted slightly in his seat. "It was just my job, Dr. Hayes. I've been here a long time. I've seen things. And I knew that card. I knew what it meant. And I knew what was right. Sterling. He was always like that, always judging. I'm just glad someone finally saw him for what he was." He then reflected on the systemic issues, his brow furrowed. "It's a relief to see change coming from the top, ma'am. We needed it." Alana nodded slowly, her gaze thoughtful. "This incident, while deeply unpleasant, has crystallized something for me, Mr. Evans. It showed me firsthand the insidious nature of unchecked prejudice, even within an organization I now own. It's a microcosm of a larger problem. People like Mr. Sterling exist. They prey on perceived weakness, on differences. But true strength isn't about shouting the loudest or being the most aggressive. It's about quiet dignity, unwavering integrity, and knowing who you are and what you stand for. It's about being prepared to stand up, not just for yourself, but for what is right for those who don't have a voice." She pulled out her sleek, minimalist Nova Innovations Executive Access card, turning it over in her fingers. "This card," she said, tapping it lightly, "it's not just about access, Mr. Evans. It's about responsibility. It's about recognizing the power we have and using it not for personal gain or to intimidate, but to make sure that others, especially those who don't have a voice, are treated with fairness and respect." She smiled, a genuine, warm smile. "You handled yourself with incredible grace today, Mr. Evans. You are exactly the kind of person we need in leadership here." Mr. Evans, a quiet man, felt a surge of pride. He simply nodded, a silent acknowledgement of her words. For Alana, the incident, while terrifying in the moment, had become a pivotal one. It had underscored the depth of her commitment to ethical business and social justice. More importantly, it had subtly but profoundly boosted her confidence in her public role. She had faced down an aggressor, stood her ground, and witnessed justice unfold before her eyes, not just as a victim, but as the quiet, ultimate authority. The fear had not vanished entirely, but it had been replaced by a quiet resolve, a new understanding of her place in the world, and a burgeoning desire to use her own intelligence and immense influence for good. The soft hum of the hotel's air conditioning now felt like a prelude to a future filled with purpose, a future where such injustices would be systematically dismantled. 5 years later. The morning sun, warm and golden, streamed through the expansive glass facade of the newly constructed Nova Innovations global headquarters. It wasn't just an office building. It was a living monument to Dr. Alana Hayes' vision, meticulously brought to life under her unwavering leadership. Rows of gleaming, transparent solar panels now adorned its roof and south-facing walls, silently harnessing the energy of the day. Inside, the design was open, collaborative, and infused with biophilic elements, living walls, natural light, and quiet zones for focused work. Beyond the bustling open-plan offices, a vibrant community outreach center, a public green space, and a cutting-edge ethical sourcing lab bustled with activity. The air hummed not with the sterile quiet of an old-world corporation, but with the innovative energy of collective purpose and shared ambition. Nova Innovations, under Alana's increasingly influential guidance, had solidified its position as a global leader in ethical technology and sustainable innovation, consistently outperforming its competitors and earning widespread acclaim not just for its groundbreaking advancements, but for its unwavering integrity and profound social impact. Dr. Alana Hayes, now in her late 40s, was an even more formidable and respected figure globally. Her once quiet influence had blossomed into widespread recognition, not for self-promotion, but for the tangible positive change she brought to the world. She still possessed that methodical scientific mind, but it was now coupled with a seasoned executive's strategic acumen and an even deeper well of empathy. She had transformed Nova Innovations into a household name synonymous not only with cutting-edge sustainable energy, but also with corporate integrity and social responsibility. The Grandeur collection, completely revitalized under her direct oversight and infused with Nova Innovations' eco-friendly technologies, was now the world's leading sustainable luxury hotel chain, winning countless awards for its exceptional service, its incredibly diverse staff, and its unwavering commitment to inclusivity. Alana, though still valuing her privacy, now embraced her public role as a thought leader, using her platform to advocate for systemic change on a global scale. Her personal life, once marked by the intense solitude of a driven scientist, was now rich and fulfilling. While still cherishing her quiet moments of intellectual pursuit, she actively sought connection and collaboration beyond her professional sphere. Her elegant minimalist home, a space of thoughtful design and cherished books, often hosted lively discussions with friends and colleagues, filled with the hum of intellectual curiosity and genuine laughter. She had found a genuine connection with Dr. Elias Thorne, a brilliant astrophysicist and environmental advocate she had met at a global sustainability conference. Elias admired her vision, shared her passion for a better world, and deeply respected her fierce independence and quiet strength. Their conversations were lively, their respect mutual, and their companionship a gentle balm to her once guarded heart. On this particular afternoon, Alana stood beside Mr. David Chen, now the proud and highly effective Chief Operating Officer of Nova Innovations' Global Hospitality and Sustainable Living Division. He was no longer just the head of hotel operations, but a confident, articulate leader, his natural intelligence and quiet strength honed by Alana's mentorship and his own unwavering commitment to ethical leadership. He had spearheaded the company's internal ethical audits across all Grandeur collection properties, ensuring every new service, every guest interaction, and every staff training module adhered to rigorous fairness and transparency standards, turning Alana's bold vision into tangible reality. He often found himself reflecting on that fateful day at the Grandeur Elite, the quiet woman at the checkout counter who had unknowingly set a chain of events into motion that transformed his own career and the entire hotel chain. He had seen the legend unfold, and now he was helping to write its next groundbreaking chapter. The Nova Innovations Equitable Living Initiative just secured its 5th major urban development partnership. Dr. Hayes. David reported, a proud smile on his face. Our community outreach programs are truly making a difference, and our fair hiring practices are being adopted as a standard by other major tech and hospitality conglomerates. Excellent, David. Alana replied, her eyes sweeping over the bustling hub, a symbol of their shared triumph. Your dedication has been instrumental in making this dream a reality. You truly embody the spirit of Nova Innovations Reimagined. David shrugged modestly, but his pride was evident. I learned from the best, Dr. Hayes. You showed me what was possible. You showed me that a business could be about more than just making profit. It could be about doing good, about making a real impact on people's lives, and about fostering genuine respect. This resonated deeply with Alana. Her journey from a scientist denied service in her own hotel to a global leader of an ethical empire wasn't just about financial success. It was about purpose. The quiet wisdom she had cultivated, the lessons from her favorite scientific pioneers who pushed boundaries with integrity, had all converged into a powerful philosophy of paying it forward. Her commitment to this philosophy manifested in tangible ways. Alana, with the full backing of Nova Innovations, established the Hayes Innovations and Equity Fund, a multi-million-dollar global foundation. This fund was dedicated to providing scholarships, comprehensive mentorship, and crucial seed funding for aspiring Black and minority entrepreneurs in STEM fields and hospitality management. The fund also actively supported legal aid organizations, fighting discrimination in public accommodations, ensuring that the injustices she had experienced and witnessed would be met with legal recourse for others. The fund was housed in a beautifully renovated wing of her alma mater, a symbolic bridge between academia and cutting-edge industry. She personally advised and invested in several startups, ensuring they had the resources and guidance to succeed. She also frequently gave keynote speeches at prestigious universities, international tech conferences, and forums on social justice, sharing her incredible story with compelling honesty. Her talks always covered her early career struggles, her quiet ambition, the shock of the grandeur elite incident, and the broader societal battle against prejudice. Her message was clear. True power lies not in wealth or status alone, but in using one's position to dismantle injustice and create equitable opportunities for all. She was a living testament that courage could indeed alter destinies, and that light always found a path even in the deepest darkness. Many of the young men and women she mentored saw in her the vibrant, ambitious scientist from her early days, now fully realized and empowered her, legend inspiring a new generation. One afternoon, a young woman named Maya, a recent graduate from a historically black university and a recipient of the Hayes Innovations and Equity Fund scholarship, approached Alana after one of her talks. Maya was struggling to launch her ethically sourced AI-driven agricultural startup, facing similar skepticism and resource limitations that Alana had once encountered in the early days of Nova Innovations. Dr. Hayes. Maya began, her voice filled with admiration and a hint of desperation. Your story, it gives me so much hope. But I feel like I'm constantly hitting brick walls. Investors just don't take me seriously. They see me as just another diversity hire trying to overreach into a male-dominated field. Alana smiled warmly, a genuine empathy in her eyes. Brick walls are just opportunities to find a new path, Maya. Sometimes you have to build your own door brick by brick with integrity and unwavering belief. Tell me, what are your biggest challenges right now, and what solutions have you already explored? They sat for over an hour in a quiet corner of the university hall, Alana listening intently, offering practical advice, connecting Maya with key Nova Innovations engineers and ethical sourcing contacts, and reminding her of the fierce inner strength she possessed. As Maya left, her face alight with renewed determination and a clear path forward, Alana felt a profound sense of fulfillment. This was the true reward, helping others unlock their own legends, to illuminate their own paths forward, and to pay forward the opportunities she had earned. The final image of Alana's story finds her standing in front of a newly unveiled interactive digital art installation she designed for the revitalized Grandeur Elite flagship hotel. It's late afternoon, and the setting sun casts a warm golden glow across the sleek, vibrant artwork. The installation, a powerful piece depicting diverse faces, hands reaching out in collaboration, and stylized interconnected energy circuits, transforming into towering ancient trees, hums with unspoken narratives of justice, resilience, and the harmonious integration of technology and nature. Beside her stands Mr. Robert Evans, now the hotel's highly respected head of global security, his face beaming with pride and profound respect. The Grandeur Elite. Once the arena of her humiliation, is now a beacon of inclusivity, bustling with diverse guests and staff from all walks of life, a living testament to Alana's transformative vision. Alana smiles, a deep, contented smile that reaches her eyes. The incident with the manager Victor Sterling, once a source of deep pain and public humiliation, has been transformed into the very genesis of her amplified purpose, turning a moment of darkness into a lifelong spring of light and inspiration, illuminating the path for countless others who would follow. If this story stirred your heart, if it reminds you that courage can alter destinies, and that light always finds a path even in the deepest darkness, please leave a comment. Share this story with those who need inspiration. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to never miss our upcoming stories.